it's Di from Di's Den, and how are we doing this week? This week I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's a Teepee card. Whoops, that one got a bit bent there. This is a Teepee card, and I wanted to show you it because I know we've made it before, but this one is a size that is, that stands up when he's not been drinking, that is 7 by 5. So it opens, it has a Velcro dot on the inside and for it, and it will lay flat to fit into a 7 by 5 envelope. This comes over the edge a tiny bit. We don't want it to come over too much because a normal 7 by 5 envelope is actually 7 1/4 inches, so that will just fit in. So this was my first attempt and I mucked it up pretty badly and I wasn't happy with what I did. So as you can see, I stuck this here in the wrong spot. Instead of moving it over this way so it lined up with this one, I stuck it over there. So it should be like this one is here, stuck so that it lines up with this edge here. So I'm going to do it again, but because I've now used up nearly all of my paper from the very cute bundle, I'm actually going to do this, my new one, with the very cute stamp set that comes with, as a bundle, this beautiful punch. And so you can get 10% off by buying the bundle. So, but because I've actually used all that up, I'm actually going to do it in Pacific Point, which is actually last year's designer series paper, which is very similar, which is, looks like that against that. So it's very similar, just different colour. So that I can actually use up my old stuff and show you how to make this card without jumping all over the place. Now I'm also going to be using one of these doilies, which are called foil snowflakes. They came in gold and silver. They were from quite a few years ago. I don't know if there has a date on these. It should have a, I'm sure they used to have dates on things at one stage, but I can't see a date on this. But this would be at least 3 or 4 years old. I'm also going to be using the Noble Peacock rhinestones for these blue ones. These again are quite a few years old. Again, there's no date on them. I should probably put a date on things so that I know where they are used. And I'm going to be using Pacific Point ink, which is retired as well. So I'm also going to be showing you how I stamped the bear, because I did see a few people put in a little bit of a, oh, this is not right thing. So I'm going to show you what people are thinking and what it is really. Now this one, as I say, this one's exactly the same. This one was done with an old paper from about 3 years ago. So let me pop them on the side over here and stop waffling on. Excuse me. Oh, I forgot to show you that it has a writing panel on the inside, just like that too. So let's pop that on one side and let's show you what you need. So I've done my stamping, but I'm going to show you what you need to do anyway. Okay, so you'll need a piece of card that is 10 inches by 5 inches. So this card is easy to do out of A4 or letter paper from the US. You need another piece the same colour, which is 5 by 5. For my layers, now I've popped that layer on one side because that's for my insert. For my layers, because I'm using white to go with my snowflakes, these need to be 4 5/8 by 4 5/8, and you need 2 of those. Okay, and then you will also need one that is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 square. For the next layer, I'm going to pop that out of the way. For my top layer, my DSP layer, you need 2 pieces that measure 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and you will need 2 that measure 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. And then for my writing panel, you'll need another piece that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So that's the same size as the DSP. So let's pop that on one side, because I'm actually going to stamp around the edge of that, so that stamping off, so that this will look different on top of the normal white piece when we get to that. Alright, so let's move all of these pieces out the way. And as I say, I've used one of those doilies, a 2 3/8 inch circle from the circle 2 3/8 circle punch. I've used an old punch there, which is the 2 1/4 inch scallop punch. I stamped the tree from here, so I stamped the outline in garden green, and I stamped the inside in old olive that I stamped off once. Now I've also done my bear, but I will do a bear with you so you can see how that goes. So we're going to move them out of the way. I've also done my little tag for the front of my card as well. So that was on a piece of card that was measured, because this goes 1/4 inch more each end, 3 1/2 by 3/4 inch. And you'll need a Velcro dot or a magnet. Now for me, a magnet, I know it's nice to put it on some things, but you don't need to put it on everything. My goodness. Okay, so we're going to score our long piece, our 10-inch piece, on the long side, using the small end of the ball at the 5-inch mark. Then, because I have lines on my a line right down here at the 6-inch mark on my scoreboard, I'm going to pop my piece on the diagonal, so that this middle 5-inch mark is at the top and the bottom corner here, and I'm going to score that down there. Then I'm going to turn it the other way and do exactly the same again. So I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to score it from that 6-inch mark, which there, but the 5-inch mark on my score line, to the bottom corner here. So if you can see that on there, it's not a very good colour for doing this with again. You can see that I have a diagonals and one down the middle. So let's pop that one on the side, and let's do our 5 by 5, which is going to be done on the diagonal. So along that line again, right down the middle. Now if you don't have a mark down your board and you don't want to mark it, then I suggest that you do it with a ruler. And where is my ruler? Here's my ruler. You could do it with your ruler and just score down the middle, and the same on this one, you can score those on the side, or you could do them on your trimmer, so which we'll be bringing in a little while. Okay, so we've done that, and we're going to now, these are going to go together like so. So we want this beveled line to be in the middle of that beveled line there, so you want them to go the same way, and that's going to glue onto there like so. Now for me, I found it easier just to move it up a tiny bit, so it's just above but still on the sides. It doesn't matter that it's over because you can see it, and then from that score line just draw yourself a little line like so, and that will tell you where you need to put your glue. So we're going to pop our glue onto this, up to that score line, and up to the line that we drew, and we're going to do that on the other side as well. So there's my drawing line. It's just very dark in here today. I don't know why it's so dark in here today. Oh, there we go, there comes the glue. So we're going to make sure that we've got plenty of glue to glue that down the sides here and down the front. Okay, let me put the pin in my glue because it's a funny old day outside. Just going to wipe that bit off from that section. Now I'm going to pop this on the top again, and I'm going to line it up so that this score line here and this score line here are even with the side of the card, as you can see when I pop that in. Once we're ready and happy with that, we can just squish it down nice and tight. I've got a little bit extra glue there because it came out the side. Okay, once we've done that and we know that our score lines are okay, we can then fold this in half on that length that we've put through the middle, making sure that we are even on the sides, and then we can just give that a good squish down. Once we've done that one, we will put the other ones inside, making sure again that they are nice and square with the bottom and this score line in the middle. Pop the other one in, once again making sure that it's nice and square. So now we have our basic card. Now you can fold it this way or this way. It doesn't really matter whether you want to go left over right or right over left. Whichever way you go, where this join is that's open is the back of the card, and that line, that V there, is the back of the card, and the flat side is the front. So what we're going to do next is we're going to pop that out of the way for a moment, and we're going to bring in our trimmer, and we're going to trim our two larger pieces, which are the 4 5/8, and our larger of the small squares, which is the 1 3/4 inch. We're going to pop these into our trimmer, and we're going to put the top left to the bottom right, or the other way round. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to cut that off on the diagonal. Now, if you're like me, my things come out. Oh gosh, there we are. You need to pop it into the middle of the paper. Otherwise, if you try and do it from an edge, you will find that it will actually squish up that edge. So always bring that into the middle of something that you're cutting on the diagonal, making sure that it's nice top and bottom. So we've done that on those two pieces, and we're going to do the same on this smaller one. And we're going to do the same on our two pieces of large DSP. Just pop them over there out the way. Now it's also better if you actually use a non-directional paper for this card. If you've got a direction, you've really got to watch which way you cut it because of it going on to the front of the card and the angles it's on. And we're going to also do, whoops, I lifted that a little bit, our two little squares. Now it seems funny, you think, why have I got two little ones for the DSP but not for the other card? Well, you'll see why in just a moment. Now I'm also going to cut, while I had the board here, my other piece, my writing panel piece, which is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. But I'm going to pop that on one side out of the way so that I don't get it muddled up with my other pieces. So I'll pop that over there so I know where I'm going. Okay, so we're going to bring in our card again now. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay these onto your card. Oh gosh, I've got a rough edge there. Let me show you what to do if you have a rough edge. Like my trimmer obviously needs a new blade put in it. So just use an emery board just to wipe those frilly bits off. Do that on all of those, I will. And I'm going to lay them on like so. So you can actually see where they're going to go. That one's not so bad. Obviously it is, down that end. Oh my goodness. And that one's just as bad too. I always know when my trimmer's going bad. Blade's getting a bit yucky because the white always seems to be the worst. Okay, so these ones are going to go in here. That's why you only need 2. So we're going to pop our DSP on the top of that one, and that one. This piece is a spare. It can be put on here and then put, which I will do today to show you what the card will look like if we do it this way and we put our writing panel on the inside. So I will, if I'm doing it that way, I will only need to have one little one. If I'm going to put my writing panel on one of these, which is here, actually, like so, you would actually not use this piece. So actually I'll do it this way so you can see it, but if you wanted to put that on the inside you can, so I pop that on there. So we'll pop that there, we'll pop them out there. So we're going to pop them on first. So we're going to glue these together. Oops. This was lovely paper from last season. Can't even see what I'm doing off today. I'm really having a hooey-pooey week, this one. Just make sure you get right into those corners, these small corners, because otherwise it will actually lift. So we're going to pop that one on there like so. These ones together here. But I'm not going to glue these small ones on until I've got the middle one on. Get on there. And you'll see why in just a second. Once I put this one on, here, and if you don't want to watch me sticking all these down, and I couldn't do them before, you know, like I pre-do some of them because of the cutting. Whoops. So we glue this one on here, and we're making sure that we get these so they don't go over the folds, any of the folds. So once that's on there, we can pop this one on. Now, because we have a join here, you can't actually see that join, but where that joins there, and I've got no fingernail on my little one, this will butt up against that join. So it will butt up against that join, which will give you the same distance. But we need to make sure it's in line with this one here. So we need to make sure that it butts up against this edge, but it's in the same line as this one here. So that when you've got it on there, it looks right. Okay, so let's pop these other two on. And I can show you that one more time. And I will show you before I pop this one on there. Oops. So you can actually see the join a bit better. Just turning that over because you can see the difference between one edge and another. So you can see this join line here. Alright, so this is the folding on of this card. This one needs to butt up against that on that edge, but it needs to be in the same line down this edge. as that one. Now I've stuck that on wonky as. Wonky as. So I am going to turn that over and use that other piece to put on there, because I didn't like the way that turned out. Now I popped that on the glue on the wrong part, didn't I? And you're probably all sitting there going, what? You put the glue on the wrong bit. Trust me, never mind. But I don't like the way that's so wonky on that side. So let's pop that one. So I make mistakes too. I'm no different than anybody else. But you can actually see how easy it is to fix up the mistakes you make. Okay. So they've got that one on there. We will glue this one on here. And we're going to butt it up against this edge here, but in line with this one here. And I've got glue on my finger. Okay. So we've got that on there, and we're going to pop this one on here without anything on it. Now if you wanted to put your writing panel, which I'll show you in a second, on the inside, we'll pop this one on here first. You would put your other DSP panel on there, and you would put your writing panel on the inside. But because I want to put my writing panel on here, which will look funny because of the fact that it's the same colour, we are going to stamp all the way around the edge of that one. So before we get to that stage, I'll show you that it looks like this once we're finished. Alright, so we'll do that, and now we'll move that out of the way, and we will bring in this piece again, which is our writing panel piece. Let me find out what length that's got to be. Okay, it's got to be 4.5 inches long. So along this edge here, we need it to be 4.5 inches long. So if we pop this into our trimmer at the 4.5 inch mark, and just, if you want to draw a line, you can, or you can just cut it off. For me, now I like to just double check that that's going to be fine before I actually put it in the card. So that piece can go in the bin, because if you've cut it just a tiny bit bigger or smaller, it would look funny. Now for me, that's got to come off more, because by the time I put this piece on here, so that needs to come off another 1/8 of an inch for my liking. So we're popping up another 1/8 of an inch off. So I will actually mark that in my oh my goodness, my written tutorial, that this piece needs to be 4 3/8 of an inch long. So I'm going to just do that now while I've got this on my head. 4 3/8, because I've only got my draft here. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to actually bring in that piece, and I'm going to move my thing out of the way, and I'll show you what I was going to do with this piece because it's still white. So I'm going to stamp, I have some of these snowflakes from out of this set, and I'm going to stamp them off and stamp them around the edge. That way you can see the difference between one and the other piece if you're using white on both of them. I've got a few of the small snowflakes, but I'm going to pop just one here and there, because I want to leave enough room for writing. And then I have my words, somewhere. Here we go. They say warm wishes, which I'm going to pop in the middle. Oops. There we go. Warm wishes in the middle. So that piece is now ready to go onto the card. Let's move this out of the way. Bring in my card again, and this piece is now going to go here as if it was a panel like this. So let's pop that. Oh, I didn't put the pin back in my glue. It's going to dry out something dreadful. Okay. Once I've done that, I'm going to pop this one on here, like so. Make sure it's nice and neat. This one, this other one, because we had two of these, so we've got one spare one of those, is going to go on here, so that it actually looks the same on that side. Let me get that glue off my finger. I could see that there, and it was annoying me. So I'm going to pop this one on here, lining it up so that it's even on the three sides. That way, once we close that around like that, it looks the same on all 3 points. Can you see that? How gorgeous does that look? So now we're going to pop our Velcro dot on. Now, my dots are not lined up very well. The whole packet was like that. They weren't lined up very well. And I'm going to put my dot where I want it here. So I need to know that, we know that that's going to line up flush along there. So I'm going to pop it about here, because I don't like it right on the edge. If I put it right on the edge, it's a little bit too close for my liking. Pop that on there, and our card is going to stand up nicely. Now we know that that's the back of the card, and we're going to leave that stuck together like that while we do our front decorating. But before we do our front decorating, I'm just going to glue these pieces together, and I will show you how to stamp the bear. Definitely got the wobbles on today. So let's pop this down here. I'm going to pop this one on here, and then I'm going to put my white one on the top of that. I just wanted to make it look really nice. Now you have to be careful if you're doing it on your board, because this is like a doily, your glue is going to show through. So I'm going to pop this onto my front of my card before I actually decorate the rest of the bits. I've got some older bits here. I don't like to, you know, not use up everything, so I'm going to pop them in the middles of them, as I like to use up every bit of my dimensionals. I usually do this when I'm actually making, not while I'm doing a card, but I decided to do it that way today. And if you're wondering, I don't like my cards to sink, my bits that I put on my card to sink. So that's why I put so many on there. Okay, bringing back in our card, making sure that we've got our join at the back. We're going to pop our piece on the front. Now I'm bringing this down lowish because I don't want it to go over the edge too much. So that's my front piece. I'm going to glue my tree on flat in the center, but up a bit. And then my bear is going to get popped up on some dimensionals. I'm going to put some big ones up the top here and the smaller ones where his legs are. So, because I don't want that showing. And I will pop another one in here so that he's nice and even. So we'll pop the bear on, and then I will show you how, what I've heard on some of the Facebook groups from different people. Okay, so there's my bear on there. So, stamping the bear. We're going to do that before I finish the card off, so I can just show you. Now I'm going to stamp him in Memento black, and I will put his scarf on him in Pacific Point. Now this is what I've found. I found someone going, why would they make the bear and the stamp the opposite way around to each other? How are we going to cut them out? It must be somebody new, I would think, because I would think common sense would tell you that you would turn that over, which you do. And then it's the same way. Because if you kind of cut it out this way, after you've stamped it, how are you going to know if it's in line? So, I will show you, because it doesn't matter if I've got more bears. I can always use them. We stamp our bear like so, and he looks gorgeous. He's a really lovely bear, and he stamps out beautifully. I'm going to put his scarf on him in Pacific Point. So we just line his scarf up with his neck, and then we know his neck, it's in the right place. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. I can feel it, sneeze going on. So if I sneeze in the middle of this, excuse me. Alright, bringing this in, opening it up, we pop it in this way around, and as you can see, you can line it up, and whoops, I moved it in the way. It will punch him out absolutely perfectly. So I don't know who it was, or if you're new to stamping and you think, oh my goodness, the bear's around the wrong way. It's not, because you use your punch this way up so that you can actually view him and make sure he's right in the right place after you've stamped him. So I will leave my bear there. Ooh, now I've dropped my card on the floor. That'll be right. And bring in my card to finish it off. So I've got my Merry Christmas here, which I'm going to put some more dimensionals on the back of. So just 3 nice ones along here. Oops. And we're going to pop that along the bottom here. Oh, come on, stand up. Now, it's up to you whether you want to do this while it's all laying down flat, or put it on when it's, you know, standing up. I'm going to lay it down flat now to finish it off, because I'm just going to put on some little bits and pieces here. I'm going to put one small one down in this corner here. I'll put one large one just here, and one medium sized one, because we're getting close to the end of them, just over there. So that's our card for today. It folds flat, as I said, and it will fit into a 7x5 envelope. It is only that little bit over the edge, so just be careful that you don't go over the edge by too much. It stands up lovely, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous the way it stands up. It just makes a really nice piece, centerpiece on your mantle shelf, if you have a mantle shelf. Most people here in Australia, in modern homes, don't, unfortunately, because we have central heating, like central air conditioning, so like reverse cycle, so it's warming in the winter and cooling in the summer. So that's my card. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as you can see, each side matches up beautifully, and that's what I like. I hated the way I did that one. I was really not cross with myself, and I didn't notice until it stuck down hard. So that's why I wanted to do another one to show you. But I do love my bear. I think he's gorgeous, and I will be using him heaps and heaps. I can see that. I've got plenty of cards. I've got to do a heap for my mum. As everybody knows, Mum used to craft with me and craft at home, but she's in a nursing home now and she can't see very well at all, so she doesn't craft now. So it was like the other day, will you please do me about a dozen Christmas cards for me to give out to people while, you know, that I've made friends with in here. And I said, of course I will, Mum. So I can see that bear being used a fair bit. So if you've enjoyed this card, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I do answer all comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. The written tutorial for this will be on my Facebook group called Die Stand for Stamping, Crafting and Tutorials, and you'll find the link below. It's a Facebook group. It's free to join and all the downloads are free. So I do have a question in there for people to answer, and I do have one rule, and that is please don't leave any links to other people. I don't mind your cards from anywhere, but no links to other sites. That is the only rule I have, and I think that's fair enough, being it's my site. Okay, so if you've enjoyed that, as I say, I will see you again next week. Bye for now.